Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving deep today. We're going to be talking about blood platelets.
Ooh, tiny but mighty, right?
Yeah, those little guys.
Yeah.
They do a lot more than we think.
Mm.
And I actually found this really cool physiology handout by Dr. Rasha Eldeeb that we're going to be looking at.
Oh, excellent source. I love her work. Very thorough.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And she goes into a lot of details about how platelets work and all the things that they do. It's honestly pretty mind-blowing. I mean, we all kind of know that platelets help stop bleeding, right? Like that's kind of their main gig.
Right. The basics, band-aids of the body.
Yeah, exactly. But there's so much more to it, like way more than I ever realized.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole cascade of events, like a well-choreographed dance.
So let's unpack that dance. Like, how do they actually form those initial plugs when we get a cut,
Right, so picture this. You get a hut, right? And immediately, these little platelets rush to the scene. First thing, they got to stick to the injury site.
Right, got to grab on somehow.
Exactly. And they do this by grabbing onto a protein called collagen. It's like the scaffolding of your blood vessel walls, and when there's damage, it gets exposed. Platelets see that, and bam, they latch on. It's called platelet adhesion.
So they're like the first responders, little EMTs rushing to patch things up.
Perfect analogy. But it's not just grabbing on, it's, think of it like this. Once they're there, they get activated. They kind of change shape and get all sticky.
Sticky so they can like clump together better.
Bingo. That's called platelet activation. And then the grand finale, they all start sticking to each other, forming this little clump, a plug, to seal the cut. That's aggregation.
So adhesion, activation, aggregation. 3 A's for stopping those bleeds.
You got it. It's like building a brick wall, you know? Each platelet is a brick, all coming together to create a solid barrier. Pretty neat, huh?
It is, and that's just the beginning. This handout also talks about serotonin and thromboxane A2. I remember those from like bio class, but how do they fit into all this?
Those are the heavy hitters. They come in after those first responders. You see, those guys, they're vasoconstrictors.
What? Remind me what that is again?
Vasoconstriction. It basically means they make the blood vessels around the injury squeeze tighter, narrow the pipes, less blood flow, less bleeding.
So it's like the platelets plug the hole, and then these guys come in and say, all right, everyone, calm down. Let's slow things down around here.
Exactly. It's teamwork at its finest. Platelet plug for the physical barrier, then serotonin and thromboxane A2 come in to really clamp down on that blood flow. A 1-2 punch against bleeding.
Incredible how our bodies just figure this all out.
Right. It's an amazing system. But we're not done yet. You see, this initial plug, it's just the first step. We got to talk about blood coagulation, the real deal, clotting.
Right. So we got the plug, narrowed the vessels, but how does that more permanent clot form?
This is where things get seriously intricate. We're talking a whole cascade of reactions like dominoes falling one after the other. And guess what?
Platelets are involved.
Of course. They're crucial. You see, they release these two factors called factor 3 and factor 13.
Factors? Like what do they do?
Think of them like specialized tools, essential for building that strong, stable clot. This whole cascade, it's a complex process, lots of players involved, and these factors from platelets are key to making it all work.
Wow, so it's not just patching the hole. It's like this whole construction project going on to make sure the damage is properly sealed.
Spot on. Platelets are the construction crew laying down the foundation for that clot to form properly, but, their job's still not over.
Wait, seriously, there's more. What else could they possibly do?
Well, think about it. That clot, initially, it's kind of a messy blob, right? Not very efficient. So the platelets step in again for something called clot retraction.
Clot retraction, what's that?
Imagine it like this. They basically contract, pulling the edges of the wound together. The clot shrinks, gets tighter, more compact.
Hold on, those tiny platelets can actually contract. They're like little muscles.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? And they generate so much force. Did you know a single platelet can pull with a force 10 times its weight? Imagine millions of those little guys all working together.
It's like having a microscopic sewing team in there, stitching the wound closed from the inside.
I love that. You're getting it. Clot retraction, it makes that clot nice and tidy, helps the wound heal faster, but even then, guess what?
You're kidding me. There's more.
Yep. This handout mentions PDGF. It's like the final touch, the long-term care plan.
PDGF, what in the world is that?
Stands for platelet-derived growth factor. Big name. Big job.
You see, it stimulates the repair and growth of the blood vessel lining, the endothelium. It's like they're not just fixing the immediate damage, they're making sure everything heals properly for the future.
So they're like the cleanup crew, too. Platelets really are the ultimate multitaskers.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing how much these little guys do to keep us healthy.
We started with the basics, thinking they just start bleeding, but this is a whole other level. And it makes you wonder, what happens when this intricate process goes wrong?
That's a great question. And maybe one for another deep dive. But for now, I think we all need to take a moment and appreciate the amazing work our platelets do every single day.
I agree. Next time you see a little scab forming, think of all those tiny heroes working hard behind the scenes.
Absolutely. So next time, we'll dive into, well, stay tuned to find out. But until then, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of blood platelets.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.